Have you ever felt like giving up? You've persisted, you've been patient, you've been pushing and pushing, but you just feel like giving up right before you hit your goal, right before when you are 3 feet away, just 3 feet away. There's an amazing story in this book, Think and Grow Rich. It's called 3 Feet from Gold. It's a true story about a guy named R.U. Darby, who during the gold rush of the 1800s, he caught the gold fever. He lived in Maryland. He packed everything up. He got his supplies. He got machinery, and he went west to Colorado. He set up shop, and he found a location where he struck gold. He struck gold. He got a taste of it, and he had the vision that, wow, I could make millions from this. So once he got a taste of it, he realized he needed more machinery. He needed more help. And so what he did is he packed up the mine or covered up the mine and then went back to Maryland, told his friends, his relatives, borrowed money from them, raised money so that he could buy more machinery, more equipment, and then he went back west again. Went back to the same mine shaft, the same vein, and started digging. They started digging and kept digging. And this went on for weeks and weeks and weeks. And the original vein where he had that taste of gold, where he struck it just a little bit, it dried up. It dried up. His visions of grandeur, his visions and his imagination and dreams of becoming rich from the gold rush, they died. They died with his dream. He gave up. He quit. He packed it up. He sold his picks and axes and equipment and said, there's no more gold. There's no more gold here to be had, because he was trying. He was working at it day after day, week after week. There were no results. That little trickle, that little bit that gave him the fever, that little bit of ore that he struck initially that put some money in his pocket, he thought maybe that was just a figment of his imagination. R.U. Darby was his name. He sold his equipment to a junk man, pennies on the dollar. He packed up. He went back east, back home, hanging his head, feeling discouraged, disappointed, dismayed, feeling like a failure, absolutely a failure. Well, here's what's interesting is that person, that junk man that bought the equipment from him, they hired a surveyor. They hired a seismologist. They hired an engineer that understood the veins of gold and the formations of the earth. They were experts in their field, something that R.U. Darby didn't think to do. So they surveyed the mine, and what they came to realize was the title of the story, that vein where he shut it down and quit was 3 feet away. 3 feet away from one of the biggest ores, the biggest pull of gold in the history of the gold rush of the West of the United States. That junk man and his family became multi-mega millionaires. And R.U. Darby gave up. Later on, he went into insurance and he realized that Perseverance pays off. And he said, I will never give up. He developed something he calls stickability, which he learned his lesson from the past, and he became ultimately a millionaire through the sale of insurance, through insurance sales. He said, I will build my my stickability because in the past I had quitability. So what can we learn from this story of 3 feet from gold? Maybe you have felt like, wow, I'm just pushing and persevering. I'm showing up day after day and things are just not clicking. Things are not, they're so close. But when is the time to say enough is enough? When is the time to pack it in? When is the time to say, I'm done? It was a fantasy. It was a dream. You know, for us as entrepreneurs, a lot of times there's challenges. A lot of times, maybe the sales aren't clicking. Maybe the enrollments aren't happening in the time period that you desire, that you hope, that you wish. And then you start questioning yourself, doubting yourself, allowing limiting beliefs to come up, cloud your thinking, maybe cause you to become discouraged, disappointed, depressed. Maybe then you stop putting in the action. Maybe you stop showing up. 3 things that we can learn from R.U. Darby's story of 3 feet from gold. Number 1 is that persistence does pay off. Write it down. Persistence pays off. If he had just continued, he would have hit that vein because he just had to go 3 more feet. But he didn't know that. Second thing is seek expert advice. Maybe you are doing, you're doing and putting in the time and the effort and the work. Maybe you just need somebody who is an expert to come and see what you're doing. Maybe take a look at whether it's your marketing or your copy or your the way that you do your calls or your outreach or whatever it may be. Maybe you just need somebody to come alongside. Maybe it's something in the mindset that you need to have a shift, that you need to break through some blockages, some obstacles, some limiting beliefs. And having somebody that is an expert counsel could help you make that little shift. So seek expert counsel or outside advice. And the third thing is learn. If indeed it is time to stop, and sometimes it is. Sometimes you're pursuing a path and it's not the right path for you at that right time, at that particular time. So maybe there is a time to actually quit. But even in your quitting, you can learn from what didn't work out. You can consider it failure, or could consider it another way that you learn that doesn't work. We all have heard the story about Thomas Edison. It took him 1,000 tries to invent the light bulb. Said, how do you feel after failing 1,000 times? I didn't fail 1,000 times. I found 1,000 ways that don't work. So I can discard those as a hypothesis, as a theory, and I can move on to the next one. Persistence pays off. Seek expert advice and learn from every failure. That's what we can gain from that story about 3 feet from gold. There's actually a book by Greg Reed, a friend of mine, amazing mentor and speaker and author and publisher, called 3 feet from gold. I encourage you to pick that up. And if you're an entrepreneur, I encourage you, if you've never read Think and Grow Rich, put this on your list. This is very foundational to the mindset and thinking and perspective of an entrepreneur. You may be just 3 feet from gold, my friend. So keep pushing. Don't give up. And your gold might be just right down the road. Cheers. God bless you all. It's Christoph J. Wyman, America's favorite speaker empowerment coach. I will speak to you once again very soon. Cheers. Bye.